to tonight's event with Tia Williams and Tessa to celebrate her launch of the love song of Ricki Wilde for Ricki Wilde. My name is Tessa. I'm on the investing here at Bookstore Magic, which if you don't know is an independent bookstore just a couple blocks down Montague Street. We're so excited to celebrate tonight. As I said, a love song for Ricki Wilde. We just have a few housekeeping notes to go over first. First, we want to thank First Unitarian for hosting us tonight. We're always so happy to be in these very cool spaces for events to celebrate books and the people who write them. We'll be doing a hand-raised Q&A with the audience towards the end. So while they're talking, listen, but also think of questions and you'll get them answered. Afterwards, Tessa has already signed your books, which is amazing. I mean, wow, she has already signed her books. I'm sorry. I haven't been in an event in this space before, and I'm clearly new to space. Tia, star of the show, is going to be personalizing books afterwards up here, and we'll let you know where to line up for that when time comes. If you're joining us on the YouTube live stream, you can buy the book in the live stream description. If you are here, we have so many copies of a love song for Ricki Wilde, and we would like you to purchase them. Because the book is amazing, and you'll find out why if you already know, and we don't want to take them back to the store. We would prefer if you just took them home on our behalf. We also have Tessa's books. We also have 7 Days in June, which is a huge staff favorite. So, and now, for the reason we're all here tonight, a love song for Ricki Wilde is an enchanting love story set against the backdrop of modern Harlem and Renaissance glamour. It's a story-worthy love story of 2 passionate artists drawn to the magic, romance, and opportunity of New York, whose lives are uniquely and irreversibly linked through history, art, and the magic of Harlem. Tia Williams has had a 15-year career as a beauty editor for magazines including Elle, Glamour, Lucky, Teen, People, and Essence. In 2004, she pioneered the beauty blog industry with her award-winning site, Shape Your Beauty. Her novels include Dance of the Diva, It Chicks, 16 Candles, The Perfect Mind, and 7 Days in June, which again we have, which was the New York Times bestseller and a Reese Witherspoon book club pick we have in the back. As I said, Tia currently lives with her daughter and her husband in Brooklyn. Yay. And we have a conversation partner tonight, Bookstore Magic, superstar friend, Tessa Bailey, who can solve all problems except for her own. So she focuses those efforts on stubborn, fictional blue-collar men and loyal, lovable heroines. She lives on Long Island, avoiding the sun and social interactions, then wonder what her life is called. The #1 New York Times bestseller and loved as Michelangelo Harry Talk by her weekly Tessa writes with spice, spirit, swoon, and a guaranteed happily ever after. We've got those in the back as well. We have those. So now without any further delay, please join me in giving a huge welcome to Tia and Tessa.
Hello. Hi. Thank you for coming. Okay, we are here for easily, hands down, definitely going to be everybody's favorite book of the year. I walked in just raving to Tia about this book. I've been rereading passages from it all day. It gave me goosebumps several times. I just can't say enough good things about it. So you're all in for a treat because you get to read it now. It's out. So can you guys all hear me in the back?
We can't see you. Can y'all scoot the chairs? Yeah, good.
Is that better?
Yeah. Come right to the edge.
Okay. So for those of us who haven't read the book yet, just can you give us a brief description of the plot, just so we know what we're getting into?
First of all, hi! So exciting. I love Tessa, I love you guys, I love this book, I'm so excited to talk about it. So, The Love Song for Ricki Wilde is, basically I had insomnia and I got like 5 sort of plot points just dropped out of the sky. It was like, a florist, a mysterious musician, a Harlem Renaissance curse, an enchanted brownstone, and and elite gear. Go. And so I just tried to make a story out of these cool elements, and basically, a free-spirited florist leads her very aristocratic family, moves to Harlem, opens a flower shop. There she meets a mysterious musician, and it turns out that their lives are linked in very mysterious ways.
Guys,
I'm still perfecting the
You did great.
it's like, I don't even know where to start with this book because, so, Ricki is our heroine. And I've never fallen in love so quickly with a heroine. Like, I was rooting so hard for her that by the time she had her meeting with the hero, like I said this on Instagram yesterday, I was like holding my breath. I just like wanted so badly for her to have this moment, and I could feel everything because I felt almost like I was feeling it through her because I knew her so well by the time it happened. Like, where did the inspiration for Ricki come from?
So Ricki is the youngest of 4 daughters. I'm the oldest of 3 daughters. And she's like 15 years younger than the next sibling. And the family is very aristocratic, very wealthy, as old money as you can get as a black family in America. They make their fortune in funeral homes. And everyone else in the family is very serious, very conservative, very designer clothes, very Ivy League, marry the right guy, buy the right house, do everything right. And then Ricki is like the Denise Huxtable, who flies away, what's the drummer? The beat of her own drum. Yeah. I'm confusing my names. And she doesn't do that well in school, and she doesn't have a flair for funeral homing. And the only thing she ever loved about funeral homes was the flowers, and she's a creative. And she just throws it all away, and including her trust fund, and moves to a new city to follow her dreams. And I've always been so obsessed with the kind of people, because I'm like her sisters. I'm like the rest of the family. I'm very, did you make your to-do list and cross?
I was wondering about that. I was wondering which one you're related to more.
I'm
your sisters.
Yeah, I'm sisters. So I've always wanted, and all my other protagonists, my other books are these type A, super ambitious, women. And so I wanted to write about someone who dedicated herself to a soft, beautiful life as opposed to, cutthroat corporate stuff.
Yeah, there's a line in the book where she says, I want to surround myself with life, I want to surround myself with life, not death, because she comes from this funeral home, which by the way, I was wondering, do you have like a dark sense of humor? Because these funeral homes are not your average funeral homes. They have like a day spa for the living, like the family members of the deceased can go get like a facial while they're moving. There's like a cafe, what's it called in the book?
Oh God, I don't remember. But I tried to name them all, Eternal Life Cafe.
That was the best. That was really funny. I was like, I need more of this family, even though they're kind of like a little bit awful. I wanted more of them. Okay, so they end up in Ricki ends up in Harlem, and I guess I'm curious. I mean, the way you brought Harlem to life in this book, not just in the present day, but also in the past during the Harlem Renaissance. Is this something you already knew a lot about, or did you have to do like loads of research into like what Harlem, like what it was like in the 20s?
I knew everything. Well, only because I'm a 1920s girly, so I love Hollywood in the 20s, silent movies, all of that. I love Paris in the 20s with Hemingway and Fitzgerald and all of them, Gertrude Stein. But my favorite 20s place is Harlem. And so I've read a ton of books, I've seen movies, it's just something I've really been interested in forever. The artists, the architecture, the Zora and Langston, and Oscar Michaud, the filmmaker. I just love that era of Black art. And I always wanted to, in the style, the fashion, the fact that movie stars would fly all the way to New York to go hang out up in Harlem at after-hours speakeasy. I mean, it's just cool. It's a very cool time. And I could never figure out how to get it in a story. What I did have to research, though, was, so I've lived in Brooklyn since 1997. I don't know Harlem, like actual Harlem, because people who live in Harlem, people who live in Brooklyn, like, we don't, it's far. I dated a guy when my early 20s lived in Harlem, and it was a long-distance relationship. And maybe I'm still triggered, because I've lived in Harlem like 5 times, and, since 1997. So I went up there like a tourist with a notebook and walked around trying to understand the streets and the vibe and everything. And what I picked up was that you could just be on some whatever street and pass like the smallest plaque that's like, oh, by the way, Billie Holiday was discovered here in 1929. And it's like the past is colliding with the present up there. And it's almost like in this Pompeii way, where it's like a city on top of a city. It's like you're living in modern times, but the magic of the past is all around you.
Like there's a restaurant called Sexy Taco in the book, but like there's like this incredible architecture around it. Like so it's, you can see the skeleton of what it used to be is like I think how you describe it. And so one of the things that Ricki does in the book is she wants to pay tribute to some of these incredible places. So she goes and she lays flowers down at these scenes where like Duke Ellington played here, things like that. And people start getting interested in her flower shop because of that. Did you visit those spots?
I found a nightlife map of Harlem from the 20s. And I went up there with my nightlife map. And so I'm like looking, and it's literally from the 20s. And it was like Art Deco, designs and everything. And I'm going to the addresses to see what they are now. And I'm like, this world famous cabaret is now Walgreens, And I was just like, if you weren't looking, you wouldn't have to know how magical this place is. And so that's where I got that from. Like, oh, what if Ricki gets, like social media traction for her flower shop by laying down bouquets, at these cool addresses, posting it, explaining what the address used to be, and then, kind of went viral.
It's just like, so in terms of like the jazz aspect of the book, like, there's like a scene, there's so many scenes, I could just go on and on, but there's one where the hero, or like there's a scene from the past, I should say, and this man from the South, like he's come up to like become a star. And he goes into this club and he's playing for all these incredible jazz artists, and you seem so familiar with them. Like, is that something you also knew a lot about, just jazz music in general?
I didn't know that much about jazz. Fortunately, my cousin is Jason Moran, who happens to be like one of the foremost jazz musicians of our generation. So I called him, and he's like an expert on the era. And I was like, explain jazz pianist to me from the 20s. And when I was talking to him, he said that there was a song written by James P. Johnson, who grew up in Charleston, called Carolina Shout. And it was like a battle song. So it was almost like, battle rap. Like you would go to a club at an undisclosed location, you have to be cool to figure out like where it was. And then you would be, there'd be a piano, and you're like, okay, if you think you're bad, you play Carolina Shout, and it's a really tough song, and there would be nights where there would be Duke Ellington there, some kid from wherever, and they're like battling it out. So I was like, okay, it would be fun if we had, it's so hard to do this without giving it away. But it would be fun if we had like a battle scene where, he's like trying to impress these luminaries in a speakeasy at 3 in the morning playing the song. And so that's where I got that from.
So did you have a playlist while you wrote this book? Can you share it?
I did. The time that I can't.
No, I know you went later. You could just post it
Later.
somewhere, or with me only. I don't know what it's together. It's just like I was like, I just just wanted to listen to it so bad as I was reading this, you know. I could have just stopped to download it, but I couldn't like put the book down. So speaking of the piano, there's a scene that I would really like to talk about where our Ricki gets a little frisky with the piano.
Yes, this is the scene that I refer to as the piano gasm.
She actually like climbs onto the piano, and like it sounds like as I'm describing it, like I don't know how it sounds, but it was beautiful. It was a beautiful scene. Like she was attracted to this piano for reasons that she didn't understand. You know, like you know what I mean. It was something about it was drawing her, and she climbs on and she touches herself to it. And I was like, how did she make this masturbation scene so beautiful? It was like really sweet. Sorry. Oh no! Does she not know? She's reading normal people. Sorry about that.
This is what it is. So it's an enchanted piano, and for reasons that you will figure out when you're reading it, like she is attracted to piano. Oh God, this sounds really weird, like it's an inanimate object. But she's like inspired in the moment, and it takes her someplace. It's an antique piano. She's wondering about the lives that, you know, have been lived through this piano over the years, and she gets sort of taken somewhere and has a piano gasm.
Piano gasm.
Yeah, I don't.
Trademark.
Yeah, I just, you know what it is? Have you guys seen Pen 15?
Yes.
That show? So it's about like the awkwardness of being 13. And there's a scene where, this is mortifying, there's a scene where the 13-year-old girl discovers masturbation. And she's like, Mom, I'm gonna go take a nap for 2 hours. And she goes into her room and it shows her just like madly humping inanimate objects because her hormones are just raging. And I had just seen that scene and I was just like, you got that, you know, when you're just raging and you need to take it out on something. It's like,
Have you seen Big Mouth?
oh
yes, Big Mouth.
Just trying to get you to see it, but I just,
Oh, yeah. You only watch one show this fall. Okay, so throughout the book, there's this weight carried by the characters, like as wonderful and like light as moments in this book can be. They also have this weight that they carry of people that they've lost, and also just kind of like places that they've lost or they get taken over and changed. And it's like it's a presence throughout the book, and it's like it's just something they're carrying with them. And I wonder, what do you want to say about that?
Well, so while I was writing this, my husband was actually, his mother had cancer and we were losing her, and I was thinking a lot about grief and where does that love go, and does it ever leave, but does a person ever really leave you? I was thinking a lot about, you know, the Gothic idea that houses have heartbeats and inanimate objects can have heartbeats, and, you know, depending on the lives that were lived around them, like, do our spirits get stuck in things? And I was also thinking a lot about my mother-in-law. She's in Denmark, and my husband would go visit her, and he would say, you know, there would be moments where she would just be looking off at something, and he didn't really know what she was looking at. And I started doing a lot of research about end-of-life patients that kind of start seeing people from their past, like on their way, you know, as they're transitioning, and what a comfort that must be, you know, see your mom or your cousin or your husband that you lost. So yeah, I was kind of in that space.
Yeah, I get that. So, when people read this book, what do you want them to feel? Like, what was your what was your hope that the takeaway would be from this book?
Enchanted.
Enchanted.
You know, like sprinkled with magic dust. Uplifted, inspired. It's Black art heavy, which I love. I love writing about creatives. You know, everyone in this book is an artist. You know, even Tuesday, her best friend, who is a disgraced child star, who really wants to be an esthetician, you know, but she happens to be a great actress. You know, I love you know, so many times in Black and brown families, like, we're discouraged from pursuing the arts because what even is that? Like, don't you want to make money? And you probably won't if you're, you know, an artist. But I like writing about Black people that, I can never say this word, and I write it all the time, aesthetes.
Aesthetic?
Not aesthetic, it's the noun. Like, you are an aesthete.
Oh.
I never said
We
that.
believe you.
It's A-E-S-T-H-E-T. Like, I just,
That's it?
yeah.
That sounds good.
Someone who lives for beauty, is inspired by beauty, you know, which is important to me, especially coming from, you know, being a beauty editor for so long. Like, I'm definitely inspired by beautiful things.
So speaking of beautiful things, we talk about Ezra, the hero. Wow. I don't, like, it's very difficult to like talk about him without giving away major plot points of this book. Because like we said, like there's magical realism in this book. There's a lot of parallels with the past. There's things that are happening. There's a curse that has to be broken. So like there's just so much going on in this book, and it doesn't feel like it's crammed. She's pasted so beautifully. It's just this like masterpiece. I'm not even exaggerating. But Ezra, let's talk about him. He is like an old-fashioned gentleman type.
Yes.
And it's so attractive. He is just fascinated by the heroine. He sees Ricki for all the things that nobody has seen her for her whole life. And all of her social anxieties and all the things that she falls back on, he finds them so endearing. And this is just a hero for the ages. Like, what inspired Ezra?
I have social anxiety. I do not like to go to parties. I say the weirdest things. Like, my sisters always talk about, like, my party material is bad. And it's always, like, the conversation points that I lean on are always weird, like, science Tumblr facts. Like, the whole thing about crabs, like, being the most evolved. Yeah, like, 5 different animals over the course of history have evolved into crabs, which would suggest that crabs are the most perfect form, and that all can be crabs with it. It's my party. Chit-chat, you know. And you know, dating is rough when this is what you talk about. And I always used to be like, oh, I just wish I had someone who thought the crab thing was interesting, but also wasn't. You don't even have to think it's interesting, but that you appreciate that I find it interesting. And you will sit here and be patient while I figure out how to tell you about the crabs. Because my social anxiety is so bad that in the middle of telling a story, I would stop and be like, what am I talking about? Like, it's bad. And then I met my husband, and he's like, I'll be in the middle of talking about nonsense, and he'll just be like, I'm listening. I'm still listening. You know, like,
I'm playing.
yeah, like, you know, it's like, I'm here for the ride. And I just really love that. And so fellow awkwards, I think we're all looking for someone who would just, like, we'll slow down for a minute and listen to our niche interests.
Did he read this book?
Yeah.
Very good for you.
He likes the crap.
My husband's reading my books for the first time ever, like after 12 years. Yeah, like I had to write a golf book for him to give a shit. It's like, wow. Really what it was is that I listened to this podcast called Over My Dead Body. And you probably have heard of this case now because it's like really making headlines, but this husband like didn't read his wife's book and he ultimately ends up dead. The Adelson case, so that anybody, yeah, it was on Dateline last week, so it's mainstream now. He ended up dead. I mean, pretty serious offense, but it all started with him not reading the book. So I had to pick up the book the next day. He was like, fair enough. Yeah, smart. So I have a few kind of like quick fire answer questions for you. Is there anything else you want to say about Ricki Wilde? Well, you guys can ask your questions in a few minutes. So, who are your writing inspirations? Like, who's the author that you go to when you want to read something to like knock the words loose?
Judith Grant. I'm a big glamour fiction person, so Judith Grant, Jackie Collins. And it's usually the spicier scenes that I get stuck, and so those ladies, and you quite honestly, their spicy scenes, oh my god. But for dialogues of Remy Person, because her, as an anthropologist, she was really interested in really reflecting dialect and how people really talked based on where they were from, and it was like reading her dialogue is like eavesdropping. It's amazing. And so, yeah, she's my dialogue inspiration. Wit inspiration, Carrie Fisher and Dorothy Parker. Yeah, and honestly, like if I'm stuck on like dialogue is my favorite thing. And if I'm writing something that doesn't feel real, I'll put it away and then go deep into Twitter. And like, if you find, Twitter is just an endless source of inspiration, but like, if you find a topic and then you just keep going down the thread, you just see like this beautiful language people use, like so funny, so loud, so passionate, like people get really into, whatever they're talking about on Twitter, and I get inspired.
I always say people are funnier than comedians.
Totally, that's why I love the Housewives.
Oh, okay.
TikTok. No,
but that's one of the things I discovered like when I started watching more TikToks and like my For You page started like evolving. I was like, real people are so funny. I was like, wow, like just average every day, two girls and then they fall down and they do that laugh where there's no sound coming out. That's like my For You page, the whole thing. It's just like, I love that. Yeah. Also, haunted houses. Do you believe in love at first sight?
Yes.
Why?
Well, love at first conversation. Right?
That's I've never heard that phrase before, but I think it's not the same thing, but it's more meaningful.
Yeah. I don't think you can actually really fall in love just looking at someone, but you can fall in love after a conversation, which has happened to me.
I fell in love at first sight with my husband. Yeah.
At the bar.
At the bar. How did you know that?
Because we talked about it.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah. That's so funny. Okay, if you could only watch one movie forever, every day, forever, what would it be? Do you know it?
What? Just say it. What? What did she say? Probably an old Goldie Hawn, like Foul Play, or Seems Like Old Times or Protocol, or what's the one when she in
Overboard?
Overboard. Wildcats.
I came on recently on TV Overboard and I was like, this is insufferable. I was so mad that she had to deal with that.
She had to go through some of that.
So she didn't do anything too bad to deserve that.
No, they can make that movie together.
So what's one celebrity that if you saw them in public you would actually like have a meltdown?
Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan. And in fact, my friend Felicia here ran into him at at the Buco Classic like 5 years ago, and she ran up to this man and was like, "You just have to say my girlfriend's name. Just say it." And he was like, "Hi, Tia," and she screamed. She screamed like I every 48 hours I think about that. Yeah. Good.
Hi, Tia. Is he tall?
Not too tall.
Not too tall. Doesn't matter. Charisma adds height. Well, that's what I have. Should we go to the audience for Q&A? I'm going to, so basically, I think that you're going to call out the questions and I'm going to repeat them so that Tia can answer. So, yes.
Hi, my name is Sojourner. Thank you for doing this. Just interested in knowing if you have any storyline or any genre that you have yet to explore that you're very interested in tackling.
So is there a storyline or genre that Tia is interested in tackling?
Time period, you know, just anything that you're very interested in tackling that you haven't yet.
I love the 60s, and I love horror. But I can't write horror. Every time I've tried, it becomes a love story. So I try to get it in these other ways, like, you know, like in 70s in June, Eva writes vampire rock. Like, that's not hard, but there's a vampire involved. A vampire bitch. You know, like I try to get it. Yeah, I would love to, but you know, Stephen King has that quote from On Writing where it's something like, a romance writer, a comedy writer, and a Western writer will all pass a car crash and tell totally different stories about what they saw based on the lens through which they see the world. And I always come back to a love story, romance, always.
That's another thing, like in this book, Ricki is like, she always channels these different, like with her outfits, she channels these different decades and time periods. Like, that's just from your style background?
It's just from my style background. So she's a big, like, she's a sustainable queen. So she's like very into thrifting, making clothes, and vintage is really important. And so she dresses from different decades all the time. Like when we first meet her, she's wearing an extremely late 70s ensemble, and her sisters are like, "You look like every member of Sister Sledge right now." But to her, that was a compliment.
Right.
She loves that.
Is there next question? Yes?
Hi, my name is Patricia. 7 Days in June is my favorite book of yours, and so my question is, what could you tell us about the upcoming television series that's based on the book?
Unfortunately, do you want to repeat?
What she's asking, what can you tell us about the upcoming television series for 7 Days in June?
Unfortunately, I can't really say much yet because it's very beginning stages. Like most Hollywood things, like it took a huge hit because of the actor strike and the writer strike. So we were just getting going when all that happened. So now we're getting back into production. So don't have anything to report yet, but it's coming. But it is definitely it was optioned for a TV series. So.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Adia. So I've read all your books, and I've seen your writing change from Accidental Diva to a love song for Ricki Wilde. And I was just wondering, like, what has that process been like for you? Have you leaned into this change in your writing, resisted it in any way? And is it like a reflection of your growth as a woman? I don't know if that made any sense, but I think it did.
That's such a good question. So she asked, yeah, if like her writing style has changed, if that reflects like kind of your personal growth. What?
Yeah. I mean, when I wrote the Accidental Diva, I was 24. You know, I had not done anything. Like I was a baby, you know? I was 24 then, fast forward to now, I'm 48. I got married, I had a baby, I got divorced, I got married again, got laid off 2 weeks before Christmas. I did not get another job for 3 years after that. I have had numerous scary health problems. I have had romances that some good, some completely demented. You know, I've gotten things, I've lost things. Like it's, you know, been a whole lifetime since my first book, and I think with every, you know, with every book, I'm just older and more experienced and wiser, and I hadn't really taken any hits yet the first time I wrote, you know, a book. I was still young enough to think that my life would just be charmed, you know, that I could just stroll into rooms and make things happen with absolutely no pushback from the universe. But eventually you have to pay the bill, and, you know, 10 years after that, I had the rug pulled out from under me for, you know, a bunch of different reasons. And yeah, I just think that going through the ups and downs of life just gives you, it broadens your perspective. You're able to take on more, you know, different kinds of characters that are different than you. You know, when you're younger, you write things closer to what you know because you don't know a lot yet. Yeah, so I think your writing evolves as you evolve.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, Siobhan. Okay. So when I went to UVA, graduated in 1997, moved here like 2 minutes after I graduated college. And I was in this, I don't even know if NYU has this anymore, it's a summer publishing program where you can learn all about magazine publishing and book publishing. Clearly they don't have it anymore because there is no more magazine publishing basically. But I wanted to be in magazines, but the first job I got was in book publishing at Dell. And Siobhan worked there with me. I was an intern, you were an editorial assistant. I have not seen you in 30 years. What? This is wild. Siobhan is also an author. I've been keeping up with you up from death. In this church.
30 years?
Well,
Even that. That's so wild.
I'm so happy to see you, and I'm so excited to read all the books, and I'm just really happy for you right now. And I wondered if you could talk about your writing process.
Writing process.
I'd also like to point out that you were the first hipster I ever knew. I was like, you had the glasses and like I was like, oh, she's real.
She's still going.
Yeah, you're still, yeah. My writing process. Oh, we were just talking about this. Because I have chronic migraines and I can't do like a daily schedule because I never know how bad it's going to be. I basically am always thinking and taking notes, but I don't try to really write at home. Every month I go away for a week somewhere. Yeah. This is the benefit of having an older child. I can do this now. Yeah, I go and I stay in a hotel somewhere for an entire week, sometimes like a week and a half, and I just write around the clock. Just get it all out, and then I go back home and I think and I think and I think and I do it again the next month. It works.
I'm gonna go home and tell my husband I have to do that. Tia said.
The difference is you can put out 2 books a year because you write every day. It's good.
I have to wake up at 4 a.m. because if I don't do it like first thing before everybody wakes up, then it's just like the bubble bursts and so that's kind of my version of going away. Just getting up before everybody else. Okay, that was a cool reunion, right? I mean, we saw that coming. stories from that internship?
I don't know if we can repeat that.
I don't see your boss here. This young lady's mentioned watching the live stream.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, that was quite pre-social media, late 90s. It was, an interesting time.
Hi. Okay, so my question for you is obviously 7 Days in June was a massive commercial success. I imagine it was very stressful and a lot of pressure to follow that book up. What was kind of the difference between the gap between A Perfect Find, which kind of found its success a little bit later on, and 7 Days in June versus 7 Days in June and A Love Song for Ricki Wilde? How did that feel?
Okay, so she's asked, thank you for your question. How did it feel after the commercial success of 7 Days in June writing A Love Song for Ricki Wilde? What was the difference? I think the difference is knowing that I have a lot more eyes on my work now. So 7 Days in June was a Reese's book club pick, and when you make one of these celebrity book clubs, like it elevates your profile. I never could have imagined how much. It's an international readership suddenly. Like my books are translated in all these different languages now. Like it's just a different game altogether. But even still, I tried not to think about the reader at all when I was writing this, because it was already a leap for me to do like a bit of a magical story. And so if I got in my head and started thinking about how it was going to be received, I wouldn't have been able to do it. The readers, I see your face.
No, I'm just thinking in my head, like, this doesn't get turned into something too, because it's just like, I don't know, I can't say that. I can't say anything because I would have spoiled the book. But, I think you did the absolute best thing you could do, which is to write something so different that, you can't be accused of writing the same thing. You can't, it is so fresh. Just did it. I mean, really, she did it, you guys. I come back tomorrow after you've read it. Break out better. Because I feel like I'm just saying it's good because I just don't want to ruin the journey for you because it's like you have to take on your own. So, yes.
First off, I would totally read a book you wrote that was horror that turned into romance. That would be fabulous. I wish that my insomnia was as productive as yours, but in that vein, do you develop the characters first or develop the plot first?
I developed the characters first. She's asking if I developed the plot first or the characters first. In the instance of Ricki Wilde, I had all these elements that were very plotty. Before I really got into it, I really thought about who the characters are. And I do a ton of character research because I feel like by the time I sit down to write, I should just be so comfortable with who these people are that I don't need to look at my notes. I just know he would say this, she would say this, this is, but I had to do a lot of research. And Ricki is a florist. I did not grow up in a flower home. I don't know the breeds of flowers or cars, but I definitely don't know flowers. And I was executive editorial director at Estee Lauder Companies when I started writing this, and so I had to do a lot of writing about fragrance, naming fragrances, writing ad copy for perfumes, and to do that you have to understand the notes, that are in perfumes, and the story behind the notes, and obviously a lot of them are floral. And so I started learning about how different flowers are cultivated and, what time of the year they grow. And I learned about this flower, the night blooming jasmine, and it's asleep all day, and then it wakes up after midnight. And I had to create this whole ad, campaign around this, and I thought it was just the sexiest idea. And through the night blooming jasmine, Ricki was born. was like, this girl has to be a florist. Like, it's just so cool. And then the jasmine has a big,
Because it's magical in itself. It's just like, it has such a perfect place in this book. Oh my gosh, guys. Just page 75. Page 75, full body goosebumps.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to look up what it is.
No, it's not the Pinot When he comes out of Brownstone.
Because it's like you were saying like we don't believe in like love at first sight, but to me that scene was like love at first sight. Like I felt it in your writing, and I was just like near tears.
So I think we're ruining anything to say that he buys a painting of her, right? For $5,000, but he sends somebody else to get it, right? So he buys this painting because he doesn't want anybody else to have this painting of her. I mean, is that not romance hero behavior, right? And then all she gets is this little clue, like who bought the painting, and she goes, and she like stakes out his brownstone, and when he comes out, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna die. You're gonna die. Page 75 is where I was like, oh my god. Like, it's been a long time since the book gave me. Full body. Yeah, it was. Yes. Over there.
Is there a chapter or passage within your new book that you hold near and dear to your heart?
What was the last part?
Is there a chapter or passage within your new book that you hold near and dear to your heart?
Is there a passage or a chapter in the book that is like near and dear to your heart?
Without spilling anything.
Yeah. Yes. Did you read it? Okay. There's a wedding scene. The wedding scene. When she hears the music and she goes searching for it and she finds it at the piano and they have this whole conversation and she comes on the piano.
I mean, that is an example of like how you use setting to your advantage, because it's like that scene happens in this wedding hall. It's only half constructed, and they meet on the floor. It's like it's just decimated. There's no decor. There's no anything yet, and it's like, I mean, like in this book where like there's all these just parallels with time. The fact that there was just nothing on that floor except the piano was so visually, like it was such a grab.
I never thought about that.
Yes, you did! That was totally planned. Yes.
Hi, so I'm Janelle. I'm Jay Jones from Instagram. My message. Oh, good, you know me. Okay, I'm so sorry. You're one of my favorite authors. Like, I wasn't reading for a while, and then I picked up 7 Days in June, and so like, I wish you write a second book to that, but I understand some are standalone. But if you write a second book, like, we're here for it. But my question was gonna be, what advice would you give to your younger self?
She asked what advice would Tia give to her younger self?
Oh, God.
Because you look like 30.
I was like 48.
It's not
Oh, God, it's a mess. I had no self-confidence. And that's not true. In terms of like goals, like career goals, I had all the confidence. Like I had too much confidence. I never doubted that I would get to where I wanted to go in terms of my professional life. But in my personal life, I was such a mouse. And I let these fools get me all worked up. And I just hope for my daughter that she has more sense than I did. And remembers that she is the prize. And to hold yourself, what am I trying to say? I think I gave away my power a lot, and I wasted a lot of time with fools.
I like that.
she wants to hear more about the process of screen adaptations and how much involvement did I have in The Perfect Fine. So I don't know if you guys saw The Perfect Fine this summer on Netflix with Gabrielle and Keith Powers. I didn't have anything to do with it. I wrote the book it was inspired by, but I wasn't a screenwriter, I wasn't consulted. I think Gabrielle and Keith Powers did a beautiful job, and you know, it was the director of Perry's vision, and they're all nominated for NAACP awards, which is really cool. But for 7 Days in June, I'm an executive producer. Yeah, so that'll be different.
Great.
I did Catherine. You know, I had seen her once before in the Condé Nast Library when I worked at Glamour. She must have been there for, not library, cafeteria. And she was so beautiful. This is like 1999. I was like, I need to go home. Like, it was just this experience of like, oh, like it must like when a domesticated cat sees a tiger. And it's like, oh, that's what I could be. I have to go home and rethink everything. Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Okay, so we have time for one more question. Yes.
Sorry, this was asked before. If you had like your first, like, what are some of your pie in the sky choices for playing the leads in 7 Days in June?
Pie in the sky choices for actors to play characters in 7 Days in June.
So, so in 7 Days in June, Eva is Creole, and I immediately go to, and I've forgotten her name, which is ridiculous. I love her, and I was picturing her as I was writing it. Smollett, Journey Smollett.
Oh, perfect.
And right?
East Bayou.
Yeah.
What?
East Bayou.
Yeah, because she played a Creole little girl in East Bayou. She's the perfect age. She's such a good actress. I don't know if you guys saw her in, what's the horror show?
Lovecraft
Country. Yeah. So good.
And they canceled.
That was her. And then for Shane, I love Aldous Hodge, and I love. She's good. And I love Trevante Rhodes.
That's the one.
I feel that it's important for Shane that he is beautiful, that it's like he has a thought in his brain. And some of these guys, some actors, you're just like, you're really pretty, but you don't have two brain cells.
What was he in? He's
So I think that's it. Those